welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Hey, how was your Memorial Day weekend, guys?
Good, very good.
Yeah, I didn't do too much. Honestly, I went out and I met up with some of my friends that I deployed with, and we just kind of talked about the old days, man, and all of our friends and things like that. We did have some barbecue, and ultimately it was a good time. That's usually one of the few times during the year that I actually link up with some of my old friends, and I had that experience. So it's always good to see old friends you deployed with and things like that. So ultimately, it was a good weekend. Melanie, was her last day of work, so she's out living the good life for 2 months until she's got to go back to work. So yeah, it's good. But I will tell you, Bo, I miss my personal time because when she's at work, that's my personal time. Now I got to share it. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that I haven't seen in like 4 years called me on Sunday night and asked if I wanted to go to the Cubs game on Memorial Day. So I'm like, well,
okay,
don't tempt me with a good time. So I ended up leaving Monday morning. We went to Chicago for the game Monday, spent the night in Chicago, and then just drove home yesterday.
Nice.
Did the Cubs get the win?
Yeah, 3-1. I mean, they're playing the Rockies. They better win.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees managed not to, so.
The Cubs took 11 innings.
Hold on. For Frankie Cruz Jr. in the backfield, could you say that one more time with your chest, Bo?
Well, with no Pags, Frankie's not going to stop by today.
Oh, probably won't. Well, I don't know. As long as Dustin's in the chat group and I'm here, he probably will say a couple of things. Just give it time.
Maybe.
It's like Novocaine. You just got to give it a few minutes. Don't worry.
Man. Yeah, you guys beat the brakes off them last night. Was it 11-1?
No, we didn't play it. Well, are you talking about the Astros?
Yeah.
No, we played the A's last night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the A's. Yeah, no, we did. Actually, we did well, man. I think Altuve homered twice. Everybody it seems pretty much got a hit. McCormick got hits. Christian Walker's out there getting hits. I mean, it was almost like watching the old Astros for a minute. Our pitching was doing well. I think Hunter Brown got back to maybe under 2 on the ERA. If not, he's probably right at about 2. So ultimately, it was a good game. And need I say, Bo, I have noticed trends between the Mariners and the Astros for a hot minute now. And one of those trends is when we win and we're getting closer to inching into first place, you guys get a win. And when we lose, you guys get a lose. It's almost like the Astros and Mariners are looking to see what each other does, and we're just going to stay pace with that. Now, I will say this, though. We had a good series against you, Bo. We had a good series. I think we only dropped 1, to you guys.
You did. You won 3 of 4, which is huge.
I was almost beside myself because, like I told you before we even started this series, I felt like, typically Houston in the regular season typically loses series with Seattle. I don't know why. At least for the last 5 or 6 years, it seems like we've always dropped series. And for them to actually get a series against you guys, I was surprised, honestly. I was really surprised.
No, I was encouraged by it because that means if we see in the playoffs, we'll win that one.
I see what you did there. If we do the reverse of fortune. Okay, I get it.
Hey, I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping.
I just hope I get
a chat.
Kitchen staff. What's up, Bo and Dustin? Wait, I missed the last part of that comment.
Oh,
and Pickens Cowboys. Hey, Chad. It's our year, baby.
It's a win.
It's our year, Chad. You feel it? Do you feel the electricity in the air? It's the Cowboys.
It's your year.
In case you didn't know, that was Throwback Thursday. Jay McLevin no longer thinks about that anymore.
Now I know you're lying to yourself.
Yeah. Hey, that was just a Throwback Thursday. Don't read too much into that.
Throwback to 30 years ago.
Well, I wish I could go back 30 years ago, Bo. Well, I wish I could go back to the glory days. I wish I could find Pags in those glory days. That would be all up in his shit.
I mean, that makes sense because the Eagles were not good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the tide has turned. It's like I'm living the invincible days and he's living high on the hog.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, my Seahawks were not good then either.
I will tell you though, the Seahawks uniforms have gotten really amazing. I didn't really care for the Seahawks uniforms back in those early days, but
Really?
y'all's uniform, I didn't like.
You didn't like that blue?
I didn't like.
I didn't like the silver helmets, but I always liked the blue tops.
I just wasn't. I don't know. Wasn't my thing. I didn't like it. I liked it. I like how the Seahawk now looks a little bit more realistic. Looks a little bit more meaner. They kind of edged him up, give him more edgier feel to him than what he used to have.
I mean, you do realize it was modeled after a totem pole, right?
I mean, this is the 20th century. Jay, things should look a lot newer.
You don't look newer.
I'm not saying that.
Some things have to remain vintage.
I'm not even vintage.
I love that word vintage. Vintage is just a classy way of saying old.
100%. Yes. Which is this entire crew.
That is true, man. Judge it by the hairline, folks. Judge it by the hairline. But you know, hey, in all honesty, though, I'm feeling pretty good about. You know, I think we're a game and a half back from you guys, Bo. I don't think we're too far. I think we're still about a game and a half.
You are a game and a half. You know, and that's just because we've played a couple more games than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're just a game and a half back. That's why we really needed to split with you on that series, because it's the difference between 3.5 ahead and 1.5.
Yep.
So
yeah, you know, the hardest part for us though is consistency, Bo. I mean, and you can probably blame some of the consistency on having rookie pitchers out there that, you know, we called up from the minors. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe the part of it is, you know, Rogers, our second baseman that we brought in from Colorado or whatever. He's been kind of out of the lineup, hurt quite a bit. Alvarez hasn't played, and I can't remember how long. You know, so there's a lot of reasons I think that are contributing to the up and down, but really it's just a consistency part for me, Bo, that really kind of still, and that guy that really worries me about the Astros. You know, we just can't stay consistently playing at a certain level.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like for us, it's the consistency of the bats. Like when the bats pop off, we win because we have a great pitching staff. But we lost a game to the White Sox 1-0. Right? We couldn't manufacture a run, which is wild.
Yeah, it is wild. And the White Sox themselves is kind of wild because they don't have a great record, but they do have the ability to snag a win against a good team every now.
Well, I will say
they're
this:
the second worst team in the league. So
I will say this about the White Sox.
They don't have a good record. Like they're just bad.
Well, I will say this about the White Sox, though. Record aside, the White Sox are not playing bad baseball right now. They had a 1-0 lead against the Mets until the 8th inning on Monday, lost 2-1. They lost to the Mets last night 6-5. They faced the Cubs at Wrigley Field 2 weekends ago and led in all 3 of those games. The Cubs ended up sweeping them, but the White Sox still held the lead in all 3 of those games. The White Sox starting pitching is, I think, 10th or 11th in Major League Baseball. So their starting pitching is not bad at all. Like if their starting pitching is good enough to win them games, it's the rest of their roster that doesn't have the horses to make them a legitimate, like, consistent.
Yeah, well, and fielding errors. There's a lot of things wrong with that team. I'm not saying they're the team of last year where they were.
They are vastly improved team. Yeah, but
they're still a terrible team. So to not be able to manufacture a run against them is a little bit rough.
Yeah,
but that's just because again our bats are inconsistent. Because what did we miss last year? What were we missing to be a better team? Was bats. And what did we do this offseason to fix that? 0 things. So
look at us, bro. We didn't do any better. I lost Tucker and Bregman, and I replaced them with Paredes and Rogers. I don't know, man. We did upgrade a little bit, but not enough, right?
The thing that's funny is when you look at the home run race, our guy Cal sitting right there, one home run behind Ohtani. Right. Ohtani leads with 20, and Cal is sitting there with 19.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he got 2 last night. in the Mariners win against Washington. So it's just funny when you see his name with the other home run hitters, because it's everybody you're used to seeing, and then Cal.
Well, he's obviously Cal Raleigh's a left-handed hitter, so it's going to be a different type of hitter. But
Sure.
The year that Cal is having this year reminds me a lot of the year that Salvador Perez had with the Royals in 2019. Where Perez was always going to be a guy that was going to get you 15 to 20 homers consistently, which is what Riley does. But all of a sudden in 2019, Perez hits a 310 with 46 home runs, 137 RBIs, and ended up winning the home run derby that year. Like, that's kind of what Riley's doing this year. Like, it's reminding me of that year where he's always been consistently putting up the same numbers. Then all of a sudden this year is like, yeah, I feel like swinging for the fences and looking like a 50 home run hitter.
I mean, and he does. He's on pace for like 52. So, I mean, anything's
I think they're about the same age, too. Raleigh's, 28, 29?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Perez was 30 when he had that season, so it's basically a similar situation, similar type season.
Yeah, I mean, here's hoping it's a contract year for him, right? He can get paid.
Did he get the extension?
And then
Did he get the extension already?
Yeah, no, I think he did. Yeah,
I thought they signed him this offseason to like 5 years at like 90 or something.
Yeah, but had he had this year before signing it got him another $30 million.
Right, would have got him a lot more looks than just the Mariners too for an extension. Free agency would have been like, oh yeah, by the way, here's a 6 for $200 with the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say he wouldn't if there was gonna be more money, he wouldn't be a Mariner. Yeah.
I just realized though is we don't even see the Seattle Mariners again until literally you're actually the first series after the All-Star break. That's when we play you again, and then we don't play you again. And then we won't see you again until almost at the end of the season. We play you one more time.
Yeah. The final one I think is you're like third to last series. Something like that.
Yeah.
At the end.
I'm surprised though we don't play each other more.
I didn't realize we didn't play you, or that we did play you right after the All-Star break. I didn't remember seeing that on the schedule. That's a bummer because we're going to lose that series.
Like you were literally the first game out. We played each other the first game right after All-Star break.
Man, that's terrible.
Interesting.
That is terrible.
That is the one thing I don't like about the new MLB schedule. Like, I love the fact that everyone gets to play every team now, so you don't have to wait sometimes up to 8 years maybe to see a team based on when they come to your park. I just don't like it now how you could play your division rival in April and then not see them again until like July or August. Like,
I don't understand
division rivals like every month because you used to have like one series a month versus most of your division. Now you get like one team in August, you'll see one team in April, you'll see one team in June. It's like, wow, I could play the Brewers 6 times in April, go 5-1 against them. I might not see them again until September.
Well, and then there's also the weird times where I think it was either the Rangers or the Angels where we played them, played someone else, played them again, which means you're going to see them one more time the rest of the year.
Well, that's like what the Cubs too. They had the Dodgers 8 times in April. They're done with the Dodgers for the year. They had the Padres 6 times in April, done with the Padres for the year. They had the Diamondbacks 7 times in April, done with the Diamondbacks. We just played the Marlins 6 times in May. We're done with the Marlins. And now we get the Reds last weekend for 3, and then this upcoming weekend for 3. It's like, geez, why don't you just hand us half the schedule being done by May?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because then say moves happen or someone starts to go on a tear. The only thing you have to go off is when they were terrible early in the year.
I mean, I'm not complaining because we have the tiebreaker over all those teams. But it's just like I would like to face the Dodgers in August. I would like to face the Padres in August, like after the deadline, in case like everybody makes moves to improve their roster. Then you can see where they stack up against each other, as opposed to April. So many teams are figuring stuff out. Injuries have played a role, but these teams aren't going to be the same now as they're going to be in July.
No, that's exactly my point. You play them a bunch in the beginning, say they're not good, they make trades, all of a sudden they're going on a tear, but you haven't seen them, and your first look at them might be in the postseason.
Right.
You know, that could be wildly different because you can't really base anything off of what you saw in April or May.
And yeah, next week I think we're done with the Phillies next week because we faced the Phillies 3 times in Wrigley in April. Now we go to Philadelphia the first week in June, and then we're done with the Phillies.
I gotcha. All right. Well.
I mean, that was well. I remember like the weirdest thing for me was when I think it was a 2022 season. We won the series that year, but I thought what was weird to me was we played the Yankees And then we went right from the Yankees series into All-Star break, and then out of All-Star break playing the Yankees. And that matter of fact, we even had a double hitter when we came out of that. We had our first game after the All-Star break. We had a double hitter with the Yankees. And Frank, if you're listening, we spanked you in both games.
Is you guys don't have the same issue after the All-Star break that the Mariners do. You actually do something very different. You come out of it, you guys start playing well. Like that's when you guys start to heat up. Whereas the Mariners will literally forget how to play baseball for 3 weeks. They just go out there, they make a bunch of errors, they can't hit the ball, pitching always takes a slide.
Yeah.
It's weird. So that's why I was like, oh, we got to see you game one after the All-Star break. Like that's not going to go great.
If you're lucky, maybe you'll get one of our minor league pitchers that'll play you in that one and you'll get the win. Because, I mean, honestly, I don't know when Luis Garcia is going to come back. I don't know when Javier is going to come back. Blanco's on the damn IR right now with elbow sorenesses. So, I mean, half of our damn rotation is on the damn IR with elbow shit. So if you're listening, I mean, Dana Brown, could you please be a trainer?
we look like a AAA team coming out of the All-Star break generally. Like, it's not the best. Like as a fan, you're like, well, here we go.
Here we go. 10 games above 500, down to 3 games above. All right.
But no, like there's times you fall below. Like that's the thing that's wild. Like you could be leading the division going into the All-Star break,
right?
And then you come out of the All-Star break and you're under 500, second to last in the division. You're like, wait, what just happened?
Why didn't this go the way we thought it was going to go?
Yeah, but let me ask you guys. Think about this for a second. If you got 4 or 5 pitchers, which we actually do have about 4 or 5 pitchers, all are on the IR. All for Tommy John, all for elbow issues. I mean, there's got to be an issue with the trainer for them. For all these guys be having the same problem. I mean, obviously, got to be. I mean, is it something with their mechanics? Is a trainer at fault for this? Like, I'm trying to figure where do you put the blame?
That has to do more with these kids are throwing more and harder earlier. I mean, it used to be. A lot of these guys, like when we were kids, they wouldn't let kids throw as hard as they could until they were basically high school. So, but now you got all these pitching camps. You know, you see similar things with quarterbacks. They end up with shoulder injuries earlier, stuff like that, because now all of a sudden they're going to these camps. They've taken 10,000 snaps before they get to college, right?
Yeah.
So it's it has to do with probably overwork more than anything else, because you're just throwing more pitches longer earlier. Right. So, you know, that's probably more of it. I don't think that I don't think it is really just a training, like warm-up issue, anything like that. I think it's just overwork.
I mean, yeah, because I like my cousin right now. He's going into his senior year of high school, and you know he played baseball since the day he was born, but he plays baseball all year round. Ever since he got in, it started with his freshman year that he went and started playing all year round. But, you know, he plays summer ball, winter ball, travel ball, high school ball. I mean, it's just – and then amidst all that, he goes to these camps. The one they just had at University of Texas, these specialized camps for so many weeks and to hone his craft. He's a pitcher, but he's also a first baseman. And, yeah, it's 24/7 baseball. 24/7.
Well, yeah, and when you think back to, like, our era, it's – what did you do when baseball was done? Oh, you went and played football. And then you probably ran track. And then you might have played some basketball too. So you were a little more well-rounded, but you had time away from each sport. Yeah. And now it's so hyper-specialized that by the time kids are in high school, a lot of them are a one-sport person, and they're playing that sport year-round, going to camps, doing all of those things. And so, yeah, I mean, you're just wearing the mechanics out. Now,
that's about where he's at.
Right. They're far more skilled because done it so much more. Right. So the skill level coming out higher, no question. Right. But injuries will be there.
Yeah. I mean, they just, matter of fact, his high school football coach wants him to come play tight end his last year of high school. I mean, my cousin's probably about 6'4", somewhere between 260, 270. He's a big freaking kid, man. I mean, like when you see him on the baseball field, it's like all these little kids, and then he got this giant looking kid, man. But he's a man child. I call him a man child. He's a man child. It's going to be curious to see, but I know he's going to go baseball full time. I'm just curious to see where he winds up signing this year to go play college ball.
Kick, pass, punt. Like a 35-year-old man out there with the 12-year-olds.
Man, hey, I'm telling you, man. Jeez.
Hey, you should make the drive to Austin on Friday to watch Houston Baptist versus Texas for the NCAA regionals.
Really? Okay, I could do that. I could do that actually. Okay. No, his uncle played college ball for Sam Houston, and I think his goal is to get to play baseball for Texas. I think that's his ultimate goal. But we'll see if that happens or not. But he can hit the ball over the fence. All the games I've been to, that boy can hit the damn ball over the fence, no problem.
Well, that was like us for last night for our 11U game. I was going with a bunch of really short kids pitching like the first 5 innings because I used like a lot of my 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
And to close things out, I went with a 12-year-old who's like 5'10", 200 pounds. And the umpire's like, "Did you just call a 15-year-old?" And I like gave him a piece of paper. I'm like, "I am 12." From bench warmers, he got the joke right away.
It's interesting to me though, because these kids, and I don't know, my wife says it all the time that it's the HGMO and all the stuff they put into the food. And I guess I got to believe it because these kids are getting way bigger than what I remember when I was in school. It's like watching man children out there nowadays.
Because they actually lift weights at such a young age now. Like back when I was in high school, we didn't start lifting weights till maybe the summer of your 8th grade year going into high school, and then obviously throughout high school. Kids now are lifting weights 5th grade going into 6th grade. Like they start lifting weights so much sooner than what they used to, so they're getting bigger quicker, they're getting stronger a lot faster than what they used to. So yeah, these kids that 5, 6, 7 years ago even were maybe typical 5'2", 110-pound kids, and all of a sudden 5'4", 140, 150 pounds, but it's solid muscle.
Yep.
Yeah, I was in the I just renewed my gym membership, so I got back. Me and Melanie are getting back into the gym now, working out, and I was working out next to this one kid. And he was on the bench press, and he was probably about 15, 16. But, Bo, this kid had every bit of 275, 280 on the rack. Just
nice.
And I'm like, you play football? It's like, yeah, I play for Klein. And I'm like, man. I mean, these kids are big now. I mean, like you said, they're lifting weights are a hell of a lot bigger than what I remember, when I was in high school.
Well, yeah. I mean, they train all the time, and they got all the specialized camps, and I mean, so they are far better conditioned than we ever were.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was in high school, the average offensive lineman was probably on our football team was probably about 200, maybe 220 if you're lucky. Now I look at the average offensive lineman for North Shore High School, which is a max prep school. They're usually ranked, in the nation, and their average offensive lineman is pushing close to 300. If not,
no, exactly. Yeah, no.
And I'm like, good Lord.
No, these guys are monsters, and
they are. Bro, they're freaking huge.
There you go, 7th grade doing CrossFit, getting So I mean, it's just something wildly different than it was when we were in school going through training.
Yeah,
because I think for us in high school we had like 2 weight training days for football. Like each week, that was it. Right. Otherwise, you were doing practice and whatever, but that was it. You did there was some summer practice, and then you were just kind of left to your own devices to do whatever it is you wanted to do. So, yeah, it's very different because now there's a lot of weight training, and there's outside of practice, there's camps and all of these things that we just didn't really have.
Oh yeah, and in some of these weight rooms in these high schools. I mean, they're like really nice weight rooms. I mean, they put some money into those. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we had a really nice weight room in our school.
Yeah.
So
look at the size of the 15-year-old from the town next door to us that I sent you in the text.
I mean, you should really post them on here so that people can see what you're talking about.
How do I do that on here from my phone?
You share. I mean, yeah, that dude's huge.
He's a 15-year-old freshman this year from the town that's next to us.
Yeah, and what is he, like 6'2" and 265?
6'4", 280.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, again, these kids are big. I mean, they're. Yeah. I remember when I was.
It was wild.
But yeah, can you imagine lining? Like, can you imagine as like a normal sized freshman football player trying out for football, and then you see this guy lining up across from you on the defensive line? I'd be like, no, thank you.
Well, I remember, when I was in high school, we played Duncanville for the state championship in basketball. And the center at that time was Greg Ostertag.
Osterbag.
And I'll tell you, that kid he was enormous. I was like, even for that time frame, 7 foot was enormous back then. You had no 7 foot. I mean, I think our center was like 6'10", and he's going up against a 7-footer. And all of their perimeter shooters can hit the 3 ball with no problem. So if you tried to get him in the end, down low, he was going to kick your ass because he was way taller than everybody else. And then when you double team him there, they kicked it out, and then the outside perimeters would kick your ass because they hardly ever missed. And that was the year they won state. But man, when I saw Ostertag, that was ridiculously tall. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, a 7-footer is still ridiculous at this point.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's ridiculous. And what's really crazy is when you get the 7-footers that actually have meat on their bone and aren't the Chet Holmgrens of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you don't run into too many of those in high school.
No, not too many. Not too many.
Like, usually, if they're 7-footers, they're thin. Even if they're weight training, they're thin.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Durant.
I don't think Shaq was ever thin, but Shaq was always obviously another anomaly. I wonder how Joker was back in because Joker's got some beef on him at his height.
Okay, Joker has a little bit more pudge to him though than actual muscle. I mean, you want to talk about like a 7-footer that had some meat to him. Look when Dwight Howard came into the draft. When Dwight Howard was drafted at 18 years old, the guy was 7 foot, like 265 at 18 years old, and was built like a tank. Like, he was not fat. He was legitimately like a thick, muscular center for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, like David Robertson was the same way.
That's an outlier, though.
Yeah.
Because look at all the centers now. Victor Wembanyama, 7'4", 7'5", probably weighs like 190. Chet Holmgren, he was drafted, was like 7'2", 190. The other guy that the Hawks took from France last year, like that Zashairi or whatever, he's like 6'11", 180 pounds. Like, all these big centers now. Even the guy at Duke that's going to be a top 5 pick this year, he's 7'2", 190 pounds. Like, these guys are tall. They just don't have any meat to them anymore. It's just because now everything is perimeter shooting. You can be
you don't have to bully your way down.
Yeah, you can be a 7-footer, but if the game now is like a 7-footer's popping threes like Kevin Durant's been doing since he's been in the NBA, there's a reason why Kevin Durant's only 200 pounds, not even, because he doesn't have to bully his way in to use a 6'11" frame. He just sits up by the perimeter and hits 3-pointers in mid-range.
I'm not going to lie, though. I don't want my 7-footer hanging out at the arc. Like, get down low.
I don't either.
How about we get some boards?
Oh, no, I agree. Just the way the game is played now, though, that's why you don't have a lot of these, like, big, beefy 7-footers anymore. And the ones that try to play in the paint, their bodies can't take that punishment because they're not built to take that punishment.
Could you imagine a guy like Chet Holmgren going up an old school guy like Bill Laimbeer? Bill Laimbeer would have murdered Chet Holmgren. He would have broke every bone in his body.
I mean, put Chet Holmgren against Shaq.
Yeah. Oh, Shaq would kill him. Oh, he would not even be able to hold the paint with Shaq. Is it just me, though? Does Chet Holmgren kind of look like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead? No, seriously. I was thinking about that the other day because when he turns his head, the way he has his hairstyle goes into that V shape in the back, and it looks just like Butthead.
Yeah.
Swear to God. Can't make that up.
Man.
Hey, in other news, did you see that Tyrese Halliburton's dad is back to going to games?
Only in suites, though.
But he's still allowed back in the building. I'm like, that didn't last too long.
Yeah, so, I mean, in the suite makes sense because you can't go anywhere.
No, but he'll be allowed to be at all Indiana home games in the suite. So I'm like, well, I guess only keeping him out for a couple of playoff games didn't make that much of a difference. They bring him back to the building last night and they win.
Well, I mean, I think that they probably would have done that even if they were still in the other series.
I thought they would. I think they were going to wait till next season is when I thought they were going to let him come back. I didn't think they would let him come back at all in the postseason. I thought it was going to be you get through the rest of the postseason and then just kind of reassess everything in the offseason and basically give him like a list of expectations. It's like, you can come to our games. You get to sit in this nice suite over here. And these are the rules you have to follow in this suite. If you choose not to follow them, this is your last strike. Like, you're not coming back.
Is that not Chet Holmgren? I'm just saying.
Chet Holmgren doesn't have that. Chet Holmgren doesn't have the braces lip on the top.
And if you want to bet on his next hairstyle, you can do it right here on with this QR code. Up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. Also, if you're here in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code right here. True Fusion Gym, Pilates, boot camp, yoga bar, and more. Free 5-day pass using that QR code. Find your edge, True Fusion Gym. All right. Timing-wise worked out.
No, I was trying to set you up.
I don't think I was trying to set anybody up, except maybe Chip.
So do you think either one of these teams ends up making this into a 7-game series, or do you think Oklahoma City and Indiana both close it out in 5?
Nah, yeah, they're a wrap. They're a wrap. They may go 6, but it's a wrap. I think the Knicks are done. Like that one game, I think is it. They're so much slower.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone was saying like how the Knicks were going to be the more physical team, how the Knicks were going to be able to do this, and I'm just like, Indiana plays at this pace all year. Like, they could just run you out of the building, and they're not going to get tired. Everybody else going against them is going to get tired. They're not going to get tired.
That's the thing. You have to be able to catch somebody to body them, right? And
That's
they move
true.
the ball around. They play good defense, but they're fast. They're just always running, and they use their depth.
Yep, and that's what's going to make that's what's going to make the Thunder series so interesting with the Pacers, because if there is a team that can keep pace with them, it is the Thunder, because they also like to do a lot of the transition running.
It's funny because it's probably going to be one of the worst viewed finals,
which it shouldn't be, because I think it's going to go 7 games. I think it's going to go 7 games, and I think all 7 games are going to be amazing.
Well, and it's going to be fast because both of them like to run. So, like, this will be a really fast-paced finals. But nobody is excited about a Indiana-Oklahoma finals.
Not at all. Honestly, not at all. I agree with you. It's going to be very lackluster.
Yeah, I think they're going to have probably some of their worst viewership in the last 5 years outside of, COVID.
I mean, the only good thing that's really come away from the playoffs this year, though, is you look at the last 4 teams here. 3 of the 4 teams remaining have not won an NBA championship.
Yeah.
1 team has never been to the NBA Finals, being the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Knicks haven't made the NBA Finals in almost 40 years. So we've finally gotten away from like the Celtics, the Lakers, the Cavs, the Warriors, like these 4 teams that were consistently getting to the NBA Finals like the last 10 years. And now you're probably going to have an NBA Final where somebody's going to win their first title.
Well, I mean,
the City or the Pacers.
On that note, what's crazy is we've been used to seeing kind of dynastic runs by teams, and we're looking at the 7th different champion in 7 years.
Yeah,
which is something that really hasn't been a thing
in
the last 50 years.
And the way the Thunder are set up with how young their roster is and how many draft picks,
they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
They could start the next dynasty based. Not saying like they're going to win like 3 or 4 championships in 5 years, but they could start the next dynasty in the Western Conference where they're consistently getting to the Western Conference Finals because of how young they are, because of the draft picks they have. And if they want to trade some of those picks to get another superstar, they have that ammo. And you could say the same thing about the Pacers because they locked up Halliburton. They locked up Siakam. They're probably going to bring back Miles Turner. Like, the core for the Pacers is going to be around for the next 3-4 years too. It's like these 2 teams could be set up to consistently get to where they are the next 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely. And they'll be fun to watch.
They will be.
I think for me, the Pacers and OKC, obviously, I think we all both agree that that's probably going to be the finals. I want to see how the Pacers match up with another team that I can actually match them with the speed and tempo that they play at. Because obviously that was one of the big things, right? Can this team keep up with the Pacers? Can this team keep up with the Pacers? Can this team keep up with the Pacers? And it really is the same thing with OKC, right? Minnesota wasn't really able to keep up with them, So I want to see two fast-paced teams go at it and see who can outlast the other, because I think that's what we're going to see. It's going to be a lot of track meet going at it, and you're going to find out what the Pacers are really about. Same thing with OKC. It kind of goes both ways in that. So I think there will be some questions answered, and I hope that the Pacers get the win. I mean, the Pacers have come close a lot of ways, but another part of me really wants OKC to win, because I didn't like the whole Halliburton doing the choke thing. And sometimes when you do it too soon, I like to see it get spanked down a little bit.
I mean, I wouldn't say he did it too soon. They're up 3-1.
Yeah. Yeah, the Thunder were 2-0 against the Pacers this year. They won in Indiana 120-116 in overtime. Crushed them in Oklahoma City, but over the last 6 meetings, these teams are 3-3. 5 of the 6 games have been decided by 8 points or less.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, I am kind of glad, I guess, not to see the average everyday team like the Lakers or Celtics or whatever. I mean, even Miami to a certain degree during the Bron years and Jimmy Butler years and Golden State. I mean, it is good to see a change of pace and see teams that haven't had that success get there, right?
That's the biggest thing, right? Like, you want to be able to see guys get in there that haven't really had a shot. I mean, it's kind of like when you see a random team get up in baseball, you're like, oh, wow, how did that happen? Or, when you see one of the dysfunctional teams in the NFL finally do something right, you're like, hey, I'm excited about you actually doing something, because you've been bad as long as I've been alive.
And for what you just said, though, too, you're happy to see guys that haven't been there before, but you're also happy in a situation with SGA and Tyrese Halliburton where they're from small market teams. Yeah. Like, if they get there, there is a chance that they might never get back because they are a small market team. Exactly. They're not going to be able to attract the big name free agents like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bulls, and like all these big market teams, though. So like, you want to see a guy like SGA who just won the MVP. You want to see a guy like Tyrese Halliburton who is starting to enter his prime as a player and has, in my opinion, a shot to win the MVP in the next couple of years based on how he's played in the playoffs. You want them to have their chance at a championship, and right now this is their chance to get one.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm wondering over the course of the offseason what comes of Giannis in terms of if he, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm kind of thinking he's probably going to wind up moving, and I'm curious to see where he moves to, because he can really be a difference maker. Obviously, will be a difference maker wherever he goes, right?
If he's on the move, he's going to go to one of 3 places, in my opinion. He's going to go to Los Angeles, New York, or Chicago. The 3 biggest markets in the NBA. New York, obviously, because they finally have a core group of players that you think would be able to contend for a title for the next several years. Maybe Giannis is that missing piece that they didn't have this year. The Lakers, are going to be losing LeBron most likely in the next year. Giannis goes into Los Angeles essentially to take over LeBron's spot, and now you have a Luka and Giannis connection probably for the 4 or 5 years. And then the Bulls haven't had that true face of the franchise since Derrick Rose. He goes to Chicago. He is the face of the franchise in Chicago.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Could you see him on the Lakers though with Luka and AR? No, I'm saying with Luka and AR-15. I mean, that could be really.
If Giannis goes to the Lakers, AR-15 would be traded to Milwaukee. Milwaukee would get picks. Milwaukee would get a lot of the pieces that the Lakers have assembled. It would pretty much be Giannis goes to Los Angeles to be paired with Luka and LeBron for 1 season, maybe 2, depending on how long LeBron plays, and then they're just going to build that roster around Luka and Giannis.
You think if the Lakers are able to keep they're able to get Giannis, that would invigorate Bron to want to play 2 more years to try to get that one more elusive title?
I think it'd be year by year.
4, so he's trying to get 5 to at least team up with Kobe before he gets out. right?
No, I think it. Well, I mean, maybe, but I think if he stays 2, it's because he wants to play with his next son.
Yeah, I think it's year by year, basically, where he'll sign a 1-year deal, play the season out. If they win the championship, maybe he comes back a year. If they lose the championship, maybe he's done. I don't see him signing any more multi-year deals. I think it's year by year. He's just going to see how he feels after the season's over in terms of his health.
Yeah, whoever drafts his next kid, if he's still playing, he's gonna want to find his way to whatever team that is. Yeah. Or who knows? Maybe he gets him drafted to the Lakers also.
Or the other
whole family out there. Yeah, the whole time.
Or the other situation is whoever drafts his other son, maybe he finds a way to become the GM. Maybe he finds a way to become the front office of that team that his other son gets drafted to, and then eventually he brings Bron.
I can't see him doing a GM thing. I think that would take up too much of his time. I think he'd rather be doing business adventures and things like that. I just don't see him taking a GM spot.
It wouldn't keep him from doing that. I mean,
he's been the GM the last 12 years for whatever team he's been on.
Basically,
yeah, but I just don't see him doing it. I think if he does anything, he would probably become a part owner in a team and do like that. I don't know if he would step down to a GM spot.
Well, no, I mean, I could see him potentially trying to do a part owner, but I could see him as a GM. I mean, Magic did it.
Larry
he
Bird
still
did it.
All of the other stuff off the, outside of basketball.
Yeah. Larry Bird did it for a while with the Pacers, and then he became the president, and now he doesn't do it anymore. But Larry Bird was somebody that nobody thought he would become a GM. He loved it.
I just see him being more of an with his pedigree in terms of finance. I see him being more of wanting to be an owner, not necessarily be a GM. I think he's going to want to have a lot more say than just a GM.
Well,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he could.
Well, no, a lot of those guys, depending on who they are, they become the GM and like president of operations. Yeah. They have like a dual role type of thing.
That's
what he would do.
That's where Vegas comes. That's where Vegas comes into question because.
Right.
If Vegas is awarded the expansion team that everyone thinks Vegas is going to get, a lot of people think LeBron is going to either become part owner of that team right from the start, or they're going to hire him to be like the president of basketball operations in Vegas. Yeah. And that's basically
I could see that.
That's basically 2 or 3 years away when they determine who gets the team. LeBron would just retire, and then Vegas would be like, "We want you to come here to be part owner or the VP of operations," and then LeBron would just basically build that roster from the ground up at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it'd be that far away though, because it's supposed to be for 26, right?
2027 is when the 2028 is when the team would come into the league. It has to be announced in the 2026 season. So basically,
that's what I was saying. One more year next year.
Yeah, one more year. They announced Vegas as the expansion team. Then LeBron could essentially sign one more year after that to get him to the end of the 2027 season. Retire after 2027, then step right into like the president role with Vegas.
Could you imagine that? Yeah, Tom Brady part owner in the Raiders. Then if you had Braun as part owner of whatever the Vegas NBA team, man, Vegas would be hitting them star power up like a champ.
I mean, it's Vegas.
Go big or go home. That's what they do. You're right.
It's what they do.
Have you heard anything about Seattle maybe getting another basketball team?
I mean, the 2 teams that are the front runners from every report I've seen is Vegas and Seattle.
Seattle needs to get a basketball, and it needs to go back to being the Sonics. I hope that
everything's trademarked.
So they can't. So they can never be the Sonics then.
No, they can. Like everything, everything is trademarked. Like if Seattle gets their team back, it goes back to being the Supersonics. Like everything from that organization was pretty much saved in like the NBA archives.
No, that's not accurate. So when the Thunder took the team, they get all of the history.
Yeah.
So the only thing we retain would be the name.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like not like the logos or anything, but like the Sonics name can stay.
Well, look at Houston Oilers when Bud Adams up and yanked them out of Houston and went to Tennessee. He got the name too, so we can't even be the Oilers.
There's a distinct difference, though. In this case, if you go back, they rewrote the history book to make it say Oklahoma City won the 79 championship.
Not the other way.
Which is ridiculous. Right? Like it should still say Sonics because the Sonics are who won. But yeah, they went back and they went back and redid that. I don't love that. No, like you can go back and be like, okay, the Sonics won, and now the Sonics are, they moved, whatever.
Yeah.
But to go back and rewrite the history book like OKC won it is laughable.
Basically, like rewrite it like the Sonics didn't even exist.
Yes, I understand that all of that is still stored here, and we get to keep the naming rights and stuff. What I'm saying is the history, the actual history of what went through, they've rebranded with OKC.
So then that my question becomes then, if obviously Vegas and Seattle, let's just say they both get the team.
Yep.
They're obviously going into the Western Conference, which means two teams that are currently in the Western Conference are going to have to come to the East. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Minnesota going from the West to the East. And then most likely, Memphis?
Yeah.
It would make sense for Memphis to go to the East because it is.
Because New Orleans, ironically, is farther west than Memphis, and New Orleans is in the East. So I would say it's got to be Minnesota and Memphis would be the two teams going from the West to the East.
Geographically, that would make sense.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why there hasn't been some realignment anyway, based on where some of these places are.
The only other case that could be made is Oklahoma City going to the West, going to the East, because they're pretty much directly straight down from Minneapolis. So you could essentially be like, Memphis, you're over here anyways.
Yep.
Oklahoma City, you go to the East. Minnesota, you stay in the West. Those would be the three teams that would basically, I think, would have the conference realignment side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they move OKC, but the other two, I think would move because obviously Vegas and Seattle, they'll be in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to see the old Supersonics come back. That was there's a lot of history and obviously involved with that team.
Gary Payton, Sean Kemp days.
Yeah,
there was a Detlef Shrimp.
Yep. And this is the way I think it should be. If you move a team, then the history, like if you move a team, it's one thing. If you sell a team to then like snag them, right? Like if you just straight moved a team, like I get that the Rams moved, but it's not like they moved to a different city and changed owner, changed names and all of that, right? Like they just moved the team around. I'm fine with them keeping the history or whatever, but like this, Baltimore, the Browns go to Baltimore, but they don't keep any of Cleveland's stuff, right? So when Cleveland got their team, they got their history back.
Yeah.
Right.
But so that's what made me mad. I
much prefer that layout.
I mean, like when Bud Adams, the Oilers have been around a long time. There's a lot of history with you. Hell, the name Oil Derrick is symbolic of Houston.
Well,
why Bud Adams couldn't leave the damn name in Houston and let Houston keep the name the Oilers?
That's my point. I would have preferred they be able to keep their logo and keep their history and whatever. Yeah. That's where it was, right? You moved to Tennessee, and that is what it is. I mean, even when Warren Moon gave up his number, right?
Yeah.
To the rookie, he's just like, I didn't do anything in Tennessee. Right? He's like, all of my records were in Houston. So like go make this number special in Tennessee.
Right. And, I think it just kind of came down to Bud Adams. Bud Adams was a real jerk, man. He was a real jerk. He was a real a-hole to the city of Houston. He could have. I wish he would have done like Art Modell and said, "Look, we're going here. We're going to have a new name. There's a new town. Keep Cleveland in Cleveland. Keep, I wish he would have said keep Houston in Houston. But
yeah,
jerk. Pee on his grave one day, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's probably people that'll line up for that.
But I gotta pee on Jerry Jones's grave first. I gotta conserve my urine.
Are you kidding? He's gonna outlive you. He's gonna outlive this whole panel.
Jay,
bro, hey, listen, I still believe that Jerry Jones is AI. I think that dude died. They just got an AI version of him that they just put out for some reason.
It's just Weekend at Bernie's. He's been dead for a decade.
That is a great movie.
They're just carrying him around, moving stuff. Man. We moved away from baseball before we got to talk about it, but Ohtani actually had some mound time.
Yes, he did.
Throwing live batting practice, something he's going to do every week now.
Yep.
And so there's a chance that he gets some play time before the end of the season. So that would
the Dodgers are going to need that too, because they've had a couple of pitches already kind of go on the IR for a little bit. So he'd be coming in at a good time.
He's definitely going to be that.
Probably. Oh no, but yeah, I mean, Ohtani would be coming back at a good time for when the Dodgers need him, getting ready for the playoffs. That'd be a good time to come back, as long as he's not showing any rust. I mean, you're gonna have a little bit of rust, right, from not having pitched in a while.
He was throwing heat, man.
Oh, he was just going at it.
He was throwing some heat. He only faced, I think, like 7 batters, so it's not like he did it for any length of time.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, he was throwing hard.
That's 7 hitters more than he's been facing, and I still think at some point I do not foresee him being in the rotation this year. I think it's just too much of a liability to put him back in the rotation this year.
Even if they make the playoffs, you don't
think he goes to the bullpen.
Playoff appearance?
He won't be a rotation guy.
He'll be a
random bullpen call is what he'll be. They won't use him with any kind of frequency. It'll just be hey, we got like 3 innings for you to go, go throw the ball.
Yeah.
Get back in shape. Next year will be the first time you see him in any kind of real action.
Because chances are Kershaw is going to be done after this year. And then he just slides in Kershaw's spot next year. Like this year, it'd be foolish on the Dodgers' part to not only put him back in the rotation, but to expect him to have that big of a workload going through the playoffs. Versus if you want him to pitch at some point, throw him in the bullpen and use him how the Guardians used Andrew Miller back in the 2016 World Series run when they lost to the Cubs, where it's like, we'll pitch you 5 days a week and you'll go 2 innings, maybe 3 innings every time you're out there. You're just not going to start. But if we see a pocket where you're facing the top of the order through the bottom of the order and we have the lead, we're going to insert you into that pocket, go empty the tank for those 3 innings, get us the win.
So that's how you think they'll use him in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think he's going to be basically a guy where you can pitch him in the 9th for the save. You can pitch him in the 8th to set things up for Tanner Scott. You can throw him in the 6th, 7th, and 8th to save your bullpen, then to set it up for Scott. Or if you're already shorthanded in the bullpen, you're like, we literally have 2 relievers that we can go to tonight, Shohei. Here's the ball. Give us 3 innings to give the rest of the bullpen off, and then we'll go to the back of the bullpen to finish it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I think they use him. If he gets any action this year, it'd be that. It'll just be like, hey,
and that's smart. That's smart.
Spot, but not consistent.
Right.
And I could also, other scenario that I could see too is using him as an opener. You start him, let him go 1 time through the lineup, which is 2 or 3 innings, depending on how many hits people get out of him. And then you go after that. Because you see a lot of the teams do that too. Like once you get to the playoffs where they always have one game where they use an opener that goes 1 or 2 innings and then goes to the pen after that. Use Shohei as the opener. Give him 3 innings to face the entire lineup 1 time and then make your adjustments after that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, I don't think they give him any real heavy work this year. Like, I think he gets in maybe half a dozen games.
I think, but counting the playoffs, I said I think he would get 40 innings. Counting the playoffs, not 40 innings in the regular season.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm saying. Half a dozen games worth of innings. Like, that'll be probably max workload for him this year. But the fact that he's starting to throw live batting practice, you can bet that his time throwing will get longer each time.
Yep.
And so I mean, I do think there's a really good chance you see him on the bump before the season's over, though. But not as a starter, obviously.
I just want to see him in the home run derby at some point.
Yeah.
Because everyone says like the home run derby ruins like your swing, because you've seen that a lot where the home run derby winner just falls off a cliff the second half. Shohei has one of those swings where I don't think the home run derby would affect it, because he's got that weird Japanese swing where he's kind of fading towards first base when he swings. You put him in the home run derby, he's just rearing back and teeing off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I can think of plenty of guys that did fine after the home run derby, though.
Freaking Blanco's done for 25. I just saw they said he had surgery, so he's out for the season now. God, it's just getting better than this. And then you give us Wisniewski from during that Tucker trade. He's having Tommy John. We'll see him back either. Thanks, Dustin. Thank you for that wonderful trade you gave us. You son.
I mean, in our defense, Wisniewski was a top 5 prospect.
Yeah, well, now he's a top 5 prospect on the couch recovering from Tommy John. Thanks, Dustin.
You knew it was coming. It's just a matter of when. Every pitcher, I'm convinced, like the way that Major League Baseball is now, college baseball, high school baseball, I'm convinced that every starting pitcher is going to have Tommy John at some point in their career, even if it's not a full Tommy John.
Of course.
Just for how they throw the baseball now, how much spin they put on it and everything. Like, I think every pitcher is either going to have some sort of elbow cleanup procedure before their career is over, or every pitcher is going to have Tommy John. It's just a matter of when they have it.
I mean, some of these, because of what we were talking about earlier, about all the camps and the fact that they play baseball every day of their lives now, like some of these kids are getting it in high school.
Well, there was...
they're getting it correct me if I'm wrong, but they're getting it electively. Not that they need it, they're just having it.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I was talking to a coach that we faced this year. The guy is like 89 years old. He's been coaching high school baseball for like 57 years. He's finally retiring this year. Like, this was his last year this year. He's got like 1,800 wins, so he's won a lot of games. But he's getting to the point now where he's basically said, anytime I have a kid that's going to pitch in college, or anytime I have a kid that has the aspirations to pitch in college, anytime I hear them complain about elbow pain at all, he recommends them either A, get the Tommy John surgery, or B, he recommends that they just go and get some sort of basic elbow kind of cleanup type thing. Because when they start complaining about pain, he always says it's not a matter of if there's going to be significant damage. It's a matter of when that significant damage comes. So by getting the surgery right away, you basically eliminate the timeline and you get a head start on when that damage is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is if you're playing sports at a high level, the joints are going to be toast. Yeah. Like, it's just because you're putting stress on it they weren't designed for.
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask this real quick. I know we got to get out the air because it's coming time, but real quick. So it says that Blanco had inflammation in the elbow, and then it says he had surgery. It didn't say Tommy John. It just says surgery. Does that still mean, so is that Tommy John?
It's not Tommy John. That's one of the cleanup procedures where
it's probably having a cleanup done.
Like when you have your knee, like when you have a knee scope, it's basically kind of like after you have a torn ACL, you have that inflammation buildup sometimes where they go in and scope it just to make sure that you don't need the surgery again, but it still ends up being 10, 12 weeks at that point. Being that it's an elbow, it's going to be 3 months. So we're already 2 months into the season. There's 4 months left. If he's out 3 months, he's not going to be ready to get back into game action by the time the season's over. So it's not Tommy John. It's basically just a elbow scope and clean out to make sure there's no structural damage. And then it's just basically rest and recover for 3 months.
All right.
Makes sense. Right on. That brings us to the top of the hour. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we are going to get out of here. We will see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.